What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the top of the map in the blue color. Not clicking Dwarven Mine just yet. His name is Husk Soup. His opponent today in the blue color in the red color playing as Set. His name is HellsRavage. Thanks so much for the 2-month store, man. Appreciate you, my friend. Welcome, everyone. Exciting times here. We've got a Set versus Thor game here with HellsRavage versus Soup. I'm excited to see what these guys are going to bring here. I feel like Mediterranean is one of those maps that has been played the same way for a very, very long time. And I feel like it's going to have, in the near future, I feel like it's going to have a lot more spice added to it as players are going to start trying different things, because when it comes down to it, certain strategies just are too strong. And if you play into those strategies, you'll find yourself having some very difficult games. So let's talk about what's happening over here. We see the Dwarven Mine. It does end up coming down, so a little bit delayed on that one from Soup. Not going to be too much of an issue here. We actually already see a second dock being dropped by Soup. The standard opener for Mediterranean for every single one of the gods should be some form of 9 fishing ship opener. You want 9 fishing ships. You want about a 4:30 advance time. If you can get 9 fishing ships with a 4:15 advance time, you should go for that. So we'll see what Soup's going to have in store for us. Soup is one of the more interesting build order players that are on the ladder. They're always doing something a little bit different. Looks like he's going pretty heavy into the dwarves nice and early, which I do like. I feel like getting the dwarves out in the archaic ages Norse is really, really important, especially for Thor. So we'll see how it's all going to shape up, as now Soup can afford to build fishing ships from 2 docks. He's also got some decent fish here, but generally speaking, having to defend these fishing spots, it can be very, very tough against nearly every civilization that has any sort of aggressive god power. So Set's got Plague of Serpents, for example, and like things like Forest Fire, Restoration, all these things that can offset your opponent and give an advantage to someone can be a little bit difficult to defend those locations here. As we do already see a second dock here from HellsRavage. So this is something that maybe is going to stop being a thing more and more for Egyptian players, is this early second dock on Mediterranean. You don't need it. You don't need the extra dock to produce 9 fishing ships. The fishing ships take roughly, well, they take 14 seconds to train. So 1 dock coming up, you're going to be able to get 9 fish out by the time you're advanced to the classical age. So these early docks don't make a whole lot of sense beyond the fact that you might want to be trying to spam, say, 5 docks and go for a second town center. But even then, there's other ways to go about that. So we'll see if this is going to work out for our main man, HellsRavage. Now, he's already got 5 villages on gold. It's going to be a very, very late temple here. As we've seen all the docks coming up for HellsRavage, which might be a good thing here for Soup. So Soup's already able to advance. He's going for that 4:30. He's going to have himself 11 fishing ships, which is very, very nice. I wouldn't be surprised to see another dock being dropped here when you advance, kind of a little bit late with the Norse gods. You actually find yourself having a lot of extra resources. So one thing you can do is you can leave like three dwarves or something on gold and put a whole bunch onto wood in order to afford this extra dock over here. And one thing that Soup might think about doing, as that boar is searching around here, is drop some wall segments here and here and wedge his Ulfsark next to the shore. And that's going to be a completely fine way to do that. But it looks like Hells misses that one with the boar, and Soup doesn't have to do that at all. So Ursa going to be scouting around here as well, looking for potentially a relic or something. Now, one thing to be very, very concerned about when you're playing against Set, it's not happening in this game, is the potential for vision shifting sands onto a weak point like this. So how do you defend that? You have to be ready for watchtowers. So one thing that I would do as Norse here is start researching watchtowers roughly 20 seconds before, or just 10 seconds before my opponent clicks up. So one way you can kind of time this is look at where this score is, and when the score drops, you know exactly when your opponent's going to be hitting the next age, and then you click that watch towers, say 10 seconds before, and then you see if they're going to be going for that early attack. And if they do go for the early, if they do go for Thor and they do go for the early attack, you get watch towers out straight away. If you see Anubis, you can cancel that upgrade. If they don't go for the attack, you can cancel that upgrade. It's just a way of playing around it and being completely fine there. So you see the Anubis, no need for any sort of watchtower shenanigans here. And we're basically seeing what looks to me to be a fairly old Egyptian strategy. And what's going to happen here, I reckon, is HellsRavage is going to garrison, or should garrison, his fishing ships, as we do see the first little bit of damage coming in over onto Hells here. One way that he can play around this is he can just garrison all his fishing ships and try and get out as many cabinets as he possibly can. The problem is that Hells is going to basically be having no food income. So he's going to need about 4 villages on food in order to continue production. As Suppe has to pull back. Now, the one way to kind of make this work is you do have yourself the Plague of Serpents. So if you pop out all of your archer ships, you can defend these spots quite easily with the Plague of Serpents here, as Suppe has to pull back. Now, Suppe might be aware of this and might say, okay, well, I've found myself an advantage now. An easy way to play forward now, instead of trying to go for the kill, is to actually think about trying to drop a second town center himself as a way forward here. But the problem with Norse is you don't really have that much economy, not necessarily economy, but infantry units to shoot that town center up so fast. So it can be a little bit slow, as we see a couple more fishing ships getting taken out here, as Hells is trying his best to get everything out and continue his production here. We've got ourselves 11 longboats for Suppe and 65 population, whereas Hells is at 58. It's now the cabinets popping out. That's a lot of cabinets. That's an equal amount of cabinets. 2 longboats. 12 versus 12 does actually favor longboats slightly. So you have to be a little bit careful here. Being on the aggressive on Mediterranean, or being the aggressor on Mediterranean with no advantage, means that your opponent is going to win the fights. That's just how it works. You get defender's advantage. Your ships move in, start attacking, and they're all messed up. Your opponent's ships won't be messed up because they don't have to move anywhere. You're all trying to move into them. So then if you start to lose, then you take damage on the retreat path, as we do see a cheeky little vision here onto the main base of Suppe. Going to be checking things out here. If we take a look, we do see a whole bunch of villagers on the gold with the armory over here. So Suppe might be looking for some upgrades, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's going in with copper weapons here. He doesn't yet have copper shields, which I do feel like is the strongest of those upgrades in the Archer Ship War, as we see Plague of Serpents getting dropped here, as Hells is trying to push forward. This is the advantage he's looking for, and he's going to be able to control these fishing spots right here as Suppe has to pull back. And the question is going to be, can Suppe defend this without losing too much? That's going to be the big question here, as Suppe is trying to push back. Hells is, I mean, he's still got good population in 19 archer ships in on this position, as Suppe is just playing it nice and defensively. He's pushing back. He's kind of getting baited out just a little bit here, as Hells is trying to micro maybe a little bit too much. Generally speaking, the best way to play these archer ship fights is to make sure every single one of your boats is firing, and the boats that are getting targeted down with more than, like, say 2 or 3 archer ships, you want to pull those back. Just those, nothing extra. But oftentimes in the heat of the moment, you go to select those and you select the whole bunch instead. As now the population here for Hells dropping to 70, 69, and Suppe is staying very firmly at that 80 population mark with a very, very significant advantage right now, as Hells has to pull back. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Being the aggressor on Mediterranean is so absurdly hard, as now we come back to the defensive position and things will start favoring Hells just a little bit, but maybe the advantage is too big right now for Soup. Soup's got that 7.7 damage. He's also now got himself the copper shields upgrade, so his boats are incredibly strong. There's no advantage left now for the set player to do anything in this matchup. He's lost his Plague of Serpents. He's behind in armory upgrades. He's behind in ships. So Hells has to figure out a way forward right now. So one way you can play this at this point is to drop your 2 monuments, get yourself the next town center, get yourself hunting dogs, get yourself husbandry, and start looking towards playing for the land and grabbing all your town centers and trying to boom out of this pretty disastrous position that we're in. But we are still seeing that HellsRavage wants to continue building these cabinets, and we'll see if it's going to work out for him. He does have these docks, lots of docks behind here, but nothing currently garrisoned, so he doesn't even have the archer ships or the extra added damage that the docks are going to be giving to help defend this location as he finally garrisons from 2, so his docks are now helping out. But the boats here for Hells are slowly falling, 14 archer ships to 10 archer ships, as that's a significant advantage for Soup in this fight here, as HellsRavage is going to have to start thinking about another way forward here. As well, he's got like 27 villages on wood at this point, so he's just gone full in on this wood location. Whereas Soup here, I mean, he's similar, 23 on wood, lots of villages on gold. The fight here seemingly going completely in the way of Soup. He will have to retreat here, as there's not really much else for him to kill as the game going on. Now we do see bronze shields through as well for Soup, so his boats are incredibly powerful. Not only that, he's preparing for chariot archers a little bit later in the game, as the walls all coming down now for Soup nice and early, ready to get those town centers and everything else that he needs. Sometimes when you win the water as a Norse, you do see the town centers getting grabbed, but it's not 100% necessary. A lot of the times you can just race Mythic Age, drop off early Fimbulwinter, and get a ridiculous amount of advantage that comes from just like having that extra fishing economy and all that other good stuff. As we do see some longhouses getting dropped over here. Soup's gold villagers need to move over onto this location. If we take a look at the dwarves, we've got Bowsaw, Shaft Mine, and I'm imagining these fishing ships have probably got themselves, yes they do, they've got Purse Scene as well. So a huge advantage right now for Soup, as Hells, he's now moving on to his second gold mine over here. His upgrades, he's got hand axe and pickaxe. Obviously Bowsaw not that great, but could be thinking about getting Shaft Mine a little bit later here. But we're just seeing more and more of these cabinets being built. Hells is saying, I've got one way forward in this game and one way only, as he's going to attempt to get some sort of a surprise attack onto Soup. But in the end of the day here, Soup probably doesn't even need to continue to fight on the water, as he's just scouting around with these longboats, ready to drop this town center when he has the resources. He has the resources now, so going to be getting that one. He can make some throwing axemen or some Ulfsark to help get this town center up even faster, as we do see some cabinets popping out here, and Soup is going to immediately retreat back and start up that longboat production. He's got himself 3 docks. Could be going up to 4 or 5 docks if he needs to get that production out a lot faster. Not only that, getting the town center is going to be huge. He's also still got that armory advantage. So we'll see how everything's going to be going here as the boats engaging each other. It's a huge difference in damage as well. 7.7 to 6 damage per second. So long as Soup can get relatively equal boat numbers, he should be okay to win these fights here. As now we see the boats moving forward, going to try and take out these longboats as best as they can. And it looks like nice micro here from Hells is going to help out a ton. But Soup's got the defender's advantage again. He's going to be taking very, very little damage from his opponent here. His opponent's arrows, I should say, as it seems like Soup should be able to hold, even though the boat numbers are pretty... Maybe not, actually. Maybe it is going to be a bit of a win here for Hells, so he might get the water when all is said and done. But is it going to be enough? As now Soup's got a second town center. Everything looking fine and dandy here for Mr. HellsRavage. As Soup here, he's ready to advance to the next stage. He's got 2 town centers, he's got all the upgrades he needs, lots of wood in the bank. Could potentially take some of these villages off of wood and chuck them over onto gold at this point and just stop. He could easily stop on the water, as now he's moving forward with some units. He might be able to grab this town center over here as well if he so chooses. Hit this gold mine. We see Monument to the Villagers coming up, as the Pharaoh is going to be checking out what's happening over here. We take a good look at the Pharaoh. He's just making sure that the town center is not getting grabbed just yet. But we'll see how this is all going to go as Hells has kind of thrown all of his boats away as he's pushed in, and Soup's defended yet again. Not only defended, but also two town centers. We see the Ulfsarks coming onto this position. The Pharaoh getting targeted down by those Ulfsarks. Going to immediately clean that one up. Nice micro there by Hell's. Going to attempt to get away, but does not quite get there. Will indeed lose the Pharaoh as the Longhouse is going to be coming down on this position over here. Meanwhile, the longboats here for Soup. I don't think he needs them anymore. He just needs to start putting pressure. They see the town center coming up over here. Soup's got Hunt on the map that he can eat just here. He's got farms coming up. He's got Hunt here as well if he so chooses. So plenty of resources that he can get before he needs to go into farms. But he's already got 1,000 wood in the bank, so he can easily transition into farms if he so chooses. Not only that, we do see this lone Hersa going to be taking out this watchtower for free here. Don't see that very often. As the wall's coming up over here, a barracks getting thrown up by Hells here. As he's going to start making some axemen to try and deal with this, but I imagine that we're going to be seeing Soup going to the next age relatively soon. He's still making longboats, still feeling very, very comfortable about taking these fights on the water, as the Cabinet army is just not really going to cut it at this point. He's maybe time to give up on this one. Oftentimes it's hard to say you have to give up, but I mean, you have to give up on this area until you have your upgrades, right? That's kind of the only way to make this one work, as Soup's town center just about up over here. We see the longhouses on both sides. This gold mine here has got 3,000 gold left in the bank. We see the town center coming up over here as well. So now Hells has got 2 town centers, but Soup's on 3, and Soup's getting his 4th town center over here. Soup is a very big proponent, a very big fan of just grabbing all the town centers and letting the chaos ensue from what happens when you do that. So we'll see how that's going to go. Right now, Soup's at 144 of 145 population. The longboats pushing in here, going to be taking out these cabinets very, very easily here as the game continues along. These axemen going to be getting taken out, and in that moment, we are going to be seeing HellsRavage having to tap out. Soup too strong on this Mediterranean map. I will make note of a couple of things that I feel like set players need to think about doing if they feel like they can't win the water against their opponents. So let's talk about certain strategies that are available to set here as we take a quick look at what happened in this game. So it was a 5:15 advance time from HellsRavage. He did manage to find himself an equal position on the water at a time. If we take a look at the military units, roughly about this point, we did see 25 for Hells and 22 for Soup. So the strategy which Hells implemented in this game technically got him an equal position. If you take a look at the military units, where is this one? If you take a look at the amount of boats produced, there was 20 more boats produced than Hells. So in terms of raw numbers, this strategy makes sense. The problem is the fight's being taken and where you want to actually take the game. So if you go for this defensive play, this 4-5 dock, 5:15 advance time, your aim is never going to be to win the water. Your aim should not be to win the water. Your aim should be to abuse the fact that you're playing Egyptian and you can get your town centers up much faster than everyone else in the game, and therefore you can take it that way. So what I would do here, if I was playing this situation and I go for this strategy, I would go up to say 15 villages-ish on wood, maybe get myself shaft mine, start putting villages onto gold, get my town centers, get villages onto food, and I don't care if I lose the water after that because I've still got potentially shifting sands. I mean, if I want to go for Anubis and use Plague of Serpents to defend a little bit easier, I could do that, but likely I would want to go shifting sands here if I go for this strategy. Get myself the extra town centers, and then go for some sort of shifting sands, underworld-esque type play. That's one option there. Now, the other place that you can go for here with set is you go for more of a 4:30 advance time, 3 docks, 9 fishing ship, and you can use an aggressive serpents where you've already got the advantage, and then you can try and win the water nice and fast there. That's option number 2. Option number 3 is you actually just abandon water or completely and go straight for a second town center and go for a kind of land timing, which are very, very strong if you get a good map. This map, you could definitely do that one. And then the final fourth one, which is incredibly all in, but incredibly strong if your opponent is not used to this type of play, is you go for a sub 4 minute advance time with 4 fishing ships. You shifting sands villages, you kill off your opponent's docks, you get your longboats in or cabinets in to clean up the fishing, the potential Ulfsarks that are doing anything over here, and then you win the water very, very easily before your opponent even gets any longboats out. So those are your 4 kind of options here for set, and they all kind of work. This one here almost worked for Hells, but Soup too strong. Couple of unfortunate decision making here did make this game end a little bit early. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.